Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating briefing from Research Union Insights, all about the evolution of higher education teaching. We are going to look at exactly how we take incredibly brilliant minds and help them transform into incredibly effective communicators. So, let me ask you a question. Does being a brilliant expert automatically make you a brilliant teacher? Think about it. Does a world-class clinician or a groundbreaking researcher just naturally possess the skills to transfer all that complex knowledge to a room full of beginners? Well, often the answer is a hard no, because being an absolute genius in a specific subject is vastly different from being an expert at actually teaching that subject. To unpack this massive shift in how we approach higher ed, we've got an exclusive briefing straight from the folks at Research Union Insights. The data, the methodologies, and the historical context we're about to explore really provide this amazing deep dive into how modern institutions are completely rethinking the way they train their teaching staff. Okay, let's dive into this. Our agenda covers 6 key pillars today. 1, the educator's dilemma. 2, defining faculty development. 3, finding your teaching signature. 4, communities of practice. 5, the power of safe spaces. And 6, future-proofing our faculty. Starting with pillar number 1, the educator's dilemma, focusing on expertise versus teaching. When incredibly accomplished academics step into a classroom for the very first time, there's almost always this initial friction. Researchers actually call this identity dissonance. Just imagine it. You've spent decades building your primary identity as this meticulous scientist, or a brilliant researcher, or maybe a life-saving clinician. That is who you are. And then, boom, you're handed a syllabus and told, okay, you're an educator now. It's no wonder a lot of professionals feel confused or even frustrated by this secondary role. And that frustration can actually lead to feelings of low self-worth when their teaching doesn't instantly match their clinical excellence. Now, you might be thinking this is a modern problem, but actually it goes way back. Back in 1988, the World Federation for Medical Education issued the Edinburgh Declaration, and it explicitly stated that just having subject matter knowledge is fundamentally insufficient for excellence in education. They recognized decades ago that we have to train teachers as educators, not just as walking encyclopedias. We literally need them to understand pedagogical theory, facilitation, and communication. Moving right along to Section 2, defining faculty development, or as I like to think of it, building the bridge. So, if just being a subject matter expert isn't enough, what's the actual fix for this identity dissonance? Well, it's faculty development. And to be clear, this isn't just some boring HR requirement. It's a strategic initiative designed specifically to enhance teaching staff competencies in pedagogy, technology, and academic management. It's an ongoing, vital strategy to modernize the educational experience. It's all about taking those brilliant researchers and handing them the specific tools they need to actually teach and experience continuous professional growth. Next up is Section 3, finding your teaching signature. This is all about your unique style. Once an institution is fully committed to faculty development, how does a teacher measure and, more importantly, improve their own unique style? We can actually look at the work of Dr. Sebastian Fernandez for this. He came up with this really fantastic self-assessment model that takes these abstract psychological concepts and turns them into a super digestible checklist. It basically breaks down a teaching personality into measurable dimensions. Ask yourself, are you highly prepared? Is your curriculum rigorous? Do you introduce novelty to keep students' attention? What's your enthusiasm level like? This kind of introspection builds serious self-awareness, letting teachers see exactly where they shine and where they might need to adapt. Because let's face it, teaching is a delicate balancing act. Lecturing is absolutely an art and a science. The science part is the preparation, the rigor, the carefully crafted material. But the art, that's the enthusiasm, the novelty, the human-centric approach that actually makes a connection with the student. Without the art, the science is really just a textbook. A truly great teaching signature seamlessly blends both together. Which brings us to Section 4, communities of practice and ending that feeling of isolation. You know, teachers shouldn't have to operate in a vacuum, but unfortunately, a lot of professors who are deeply dedicated to education feel incredibly isolated within their own departments. So to fix this, institutions are turning to collective solutions, and the most effective one is called a community of practice. Think of it as a persistent, sustaining social network of people who share and develop an overlapping knowledge base, beliefs, and experiences, all focused on a common goal. It's essentially an alliance, uniting faculty who are dedicated to teaching and learning so they can build up their capabilities together. But hey, you can't just shove a bunch of people in a room and call it a community of practice. The research actually outlines specific principles for successful implementation. They're often called the 12 IPs. Let's highlight a few of the big ones. First, you have to clearly articulate your goals. You need to start with a specific project that unites everyone. You absolutely must invite a mix of seasoned experts, which acts as the memory of the institution, alongside new faculty who bring fresh, innovative ideas. And crucially, you need tangible institutional support to actually promote long-term sustainability.
That leads us into Section 5, the power of safe spaces and how we foster innovation.
Even if you have an amazing community of practice, true pedagogical innovation just isn't going to happen unless the environment itself allows it. At the very core of a safe space is redefining failure. Think about the massive pressure faculty face every day: rigid curricula, strict performance metrics, time limits. If they are terrified of getting a poor evaluation just for trying out a new teaching method, there's no way they're going to innovate. In a genuine safe space, failure has to be accepted as a crucial part of the creative learning process. Once you remove that fear of judgment, educators are finally incentivized to step outside their comfort zones, experiment, and ultimately discover way better ways to reach their students.
Finally, we're at Section 6, future-proofing our faculty through practical applications.
So how do we take all these big concepts like identity, teaching signatures, community, and safe spaces and actually put them to work? We do it through highly structured faculty development programs that lean on evidence-based practices. We're talking about using defined learning objectives so teachers know exactly what skills they're gaining. We use real-world case studies so they can analyze real educational challenges. We put them through hands-on simulations to practice managing classrooms in a controlled way. And we teach applied research methods so they can continuously look at their own teaching data and improve over time. And all of this builds into a much bigger institutional vision. Researcher Yvonne Steiner lays this out beautifully in 3 steps. Step 1, we have to broaden our scope beyond just little teaching tricks, aiming for full academic development. Step 2, utilize a strict, competency-based framework so we know for sure our educators are hitting the mark. And step 3, which is probably the most important one, foster organizational and cultural change. Faculty development isn't just about transforming one individual teacher. It is about completely transforming the culture of the university workplace so that it values education just as highly as it values research. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. How is your institution supporting the evolution from an isolated expert to a dynamic educator? Whether you are a student, an administrator, or a professor yourself, I challenge you to reflect on this. Are we just demanding expertise, or are we actively cultivating educators? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly vital topic. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.